You need to beware the dangers of the sunk cost fallacy. And I'm telling you, the reason why I wanted to make this video is because I've realized that the sunk cost fallacy is a principle that not only exists in economics and matters of business, but in many facets of your life, from relationships to habits that can potentially even turn into addictions, and life choices that you might make because, well, let's define what a sunk cost trap, the sunk cost fallacy, really is. So, number one is recognizing it, and then I'll explain what it is. The sunk cost fallacy is the tendency to continue investing in a decision or project based on the resources already committed, whether it be time, money, energy, even when it would be more rational to abandon it. This fallacy, a human tendency, makes you invest in losses simply because you're already invested. Understanding this trap is the first step towards breaking free from decisions that only compound problems. I think it also leans on a good part of us being people, like a human tendency we tend to have, which is committing to the end, right? But I think that the dangers of the sunk cost fallacy is almost stepping on a ground that you've convinced yourself is regular ground when it's really nothing but quicksand. And it doesn't typically start that way, right? I think the reason why the sunk cost fallacy can be so seductive, whether it be like the build a man mentality, Captain Sava, keeping up with the Joneses, staying at a job because hopefully soon it will get better, even if it's been very toxic. I think at first it starts with something that you feel is a small hill, a small molehill, a small puzzle, a small problem. But as you spend more time and energy to it, there's almost a negative correlation between the energy you exert and the results that you're getting. But I think for us in our mind, because we have at our core, I think a very nurturing mindset. You want things to grow. You want your energy and your effort to mean something because it does have value to you. We tend to see that this is something that leaving this behind is something that quitters do. Or I've spent so much time and energy, I would like to get some return on my investment. And I think that's where you get into various states of addictions like gambling, drug addictions, staying in relationships that might be even abusive, environments that might be very toxic. And I think the importance of recognizing that this fallacy is a natural human trait. We want to keep investing in things because we've already invested. It keeps you at least, I think a lot of the work is done by being aware of it and making sure that you keep yourself as rational as possible when you're making decisions for yourself, but also just to check in. Because it's, for me personally, the nuance between what is a sunk cost fallacy and what might require delusional self-belief to achieve can be very thin. You might have a dream that is very important to you that for the first 3 to 5 years may not develop for you in the way that you want. And I do believe there should be some feedback. If you're getting absolutely nothing, then maybe you should look closer at what's going on. But if it might feel like, yo, I'm putting so much legwork into it, I'm not getting the results I'm looking for, it can feel a bit like a sunk cost fallacy. And I do believe that this is a skill that I'm personally learning, and I think is something that has to be learned, which is really identifying the nuance between what to continue investing in and what to cut your losses on. But I do believe that it's helpful to identify your everyday triggers and question cultural and social narratives. So whether in gambling, toxic workplaces, or dating mindsets, the sunk cost fallacy lurks in many aspects of life. And many societal mindsets, like I said before, keeping up with the Joneses, build a man or Captain Save a Woman mentalities. Try not to curse, so that's why I'm saying it like that, not the way that we typically say it. That promote overcommitment. Challenging these narratives encourages more rational and self-respecting decisions. Learning to spot both your personal triggers and broader societal narratives help you to stop pouring resources into unproductive endeavors. And so one of the ways that I actually think is helpful to identify whether you're in a sunk cost fallacy with a certain thing or not is to be very present with yourself. If this situation doesn't change within a certain period of time, or if it doesn't change ever, will I be satisfied with continuing this dynamic of whatever energy I'm putting into it? Whether, again, it be a relationship, a job, a skill, whatever, right? I think you can also give yourself time. I'm going to give myself 6 more months, right? And I'm just going to cut it cold turkey if it doesn't work after that. But I'll give it a little bit more time because maybe it might be, not to be optimistic, say if it's a certain skill, maybe it might be something that you have to learn other things before you get back into it, right? If you're starting a business and you're finding that you're not having success in it, maybe you need to go back and get a job and learn the skill of the industry before you go freelance again, right? Relationships, I think people are people and you shouldn't really try to control or alter them. But who knows, optimistically, some people, they date in high school, they're young, they gotta live life, they break up, they go through life, they somehow meet again, and now they're great partners for each other. But I do believe being more careful about relationships and things like addictions, whether it be gambling or be consuming alcohol or any types of drugs, I think those things can very much tamper with your mind if you're not careful. And I think it's better to be a bit more cutthroat of, this is not serving me, so let's pause, stop this for a bit, and then see what else is better for me in terms of sustainability, whether it be switching out doing drugs or something for maybe a physical activity, something like weightlifting or martial arts to occupy your mind. Maybe it is going out to dance, or you can do something like make mocktails for yourself and then do something that's high energy so that you can get both ends of the spectrum, right? I think there are other ways that you can utilize to give yourself the energy that you're looking back that might even take less effort and less work than what you're doing before. This is where we get into number 3, which is shifting to a future-focused mindset. Instead of clinging to past investments, focus on future opportunities and benefits. Embracing forward-thinking decision-making empowers you to cut losses and redirect efforts towards choices, jobs, and relationships with genuine potential. And that's pretty much what I said before. I think that one of the benefits of just being present with where you are now is that you have to be very rational with yourself to say, does this serve me if it continues like this? Because what's meant for you will be there for you in the future if you need to return. And I think that having a mix of both faith and practicality in terms of investing in the areas, people, or environments that really serve you allows you and prevents you from being in scenarios where you're constantly being drained for those precious resources and being drained of your spirit as well. I think there's a lot of danger of being in dynamics that make you feel disheartened, demotivated, or distraught, because then you don't even have energy to change your situation because it's so geared towards trying to cultivate the thing that is killing you in a sense. So I think that by being aware of the dangers of the sunk cost mentality and being really aware of it, identifying the areas where you're pouring into things that aren't pouring back into you. If you have a people-pleasing mindset, if you have poor boundaries, if you tend to be a perfectionist, or you're kind of a workaholic, these are certain traits that might put you more, I don't want to say at risk in a way to make you scared, but more aware of certain traits and personalities that you might have, even being passive. If you go with the flow too much, you might find that you're being flowed in a direction where someone is using your energy to benefit them in a way that is not serving you. I think if you tend to not be very present with yourself, or you're almost overly present or over action oriented, I think that these traits you might need to pay attention to the most to make sure that your energy is being redirected the way that you need it to. Because it's no different than, not to make everything always about martial arts, but if I'm throwing energy a certain way, like a jab, right? Without even realizing what I'm giving, if I'm not paying attention to the way that someone is sort of using my energy for their favor, I might find myself in a trap that they set, or a redirection motion of energy that then works in their favor. And it's not to say that everything is competition. You got to be aware of people using you. You got to be paranoid. But it's more so that this idea of energy being used for things that don't serve you is present in many different skills and areas. And I think that by being aware of the sunk cost fallacy and being more diligent to make sure that you're investing in things that serve you, it can really allow you to cultivate and save your energy for the things that really do matter. Hobbies and skills and people that rejuvenate you. Because I think it's very possible for every person on earth to be pouring into things that then pour back into them. And if everyone's doing that, then everything is taken care of. And so that's the optimistic aspect of doing that work, which is that when you do align with people who pour into you and you pour into them as well, it creates such a energetic dam of community, of support, and of just enrichment that really nourishes you from a spiritual all the way up to a physical and day-to-day level. So I hope that helps. Peace.